CTV Edmonton. Local breaking news with Evan Kenny.
The Florida Panthers back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
The quest for Lord Stanley comes up short. The Edmonton Oilers lose in 6 games against the Florida Panthers. Good evening. It's not the end the Edmonton Oilers were hoping for, falling 5-1 tonight against the now back-to-back champions, the Florida Panthers.
It's stolen here, and Luce is scores!
Sam Reinhart got things going in the first period. That was 1 of 4 for him tonight, and it was all Florida from there. They would put 3 past Stuart Skinner and add another 2 into the empty net. Now, Vasily Podkolzin would score Edmonton's lone goal. That was late in the 3rd period. While disappointed, the Oilers say they still have a lot of confidence and belief in their group.
I don't think people thought we were going to make it this far. You know, we obviously believed. Came up just a bit short again.
And disappointment filled the air at the Moss Pit. Fans say they're heartbroken because they live and die with this team, but they also have hope for the team's future.
Obviously, we're disappointed with the result. It's not what we wanted, but I'm proud of this team.
To get to the top of the mountain takes a lot of bad things to happen to you, and we're going to experience all of it, and it'll make it that much sweeter when we do make it happen.
Sam Bennett was awarded the Conn Smythe as the playoffs' most valuable player. He led the playoffs with 15 goals, including an NHL record 13 on the road. Police say a woman was struck and killed by a semi-truck on the Whitemud this afternoon. Police say this afternoon a female driver exited her van after parking on the shoulder of the Whitemud Drive and 111th Street. An eastbound semi-truck hit her. Police say she was declared dead at the scene. Police say there was a young child inside the van who was not hurt. He was taken to the stallery. The EPS Major Collision Section is investigating. Students and staff at a high school in Edmonton may have been exposed to asbestos. Jasper Place High School sent a letter to parents yesterday warning some students may have been exposed to the hazardous material. The letter says in mid-March, a wall was taken down in the boys' football locker room by someone who was not a staff member at the school. The school board says the demolition was never authorized and no protective measures were taken. The board says the building materials tested positive for low levels of asbestos. A local company that deals with asbestos says the real concern isn't asbestos levels, it's how much becomes airborne.
In this scenario where a wall was demolished, the asbestos is in the joint compound. So when you demolish that wall, all that dust is becoming airborne and you're breathing that in. If they're inhaled into your lungs, those fibers, if you look at them under a microscope, they almost have little barbs on them. And once they attach into your lung tissue, they're almost never going to leave.
He says asbestos affects everyone differently and it could damage your lungs for life. The school letter says students and staff who helped clean up after the wall was knocked down may have been exposed and have been notified. The board says the area has since been properly cleaned and the school's air quality tested safe. The school says it is still investigating who's responsible for knocking down the wall. As AI technology evolves, police are warning kids and teens about new methods of exploitation. And as CTV's Connor Hogg reports, it's young people who are victimizing each other.
TikTok and stuff like that, you can see these AI videos like super real.
Students say AI plays a big part in their everyday lives. It can be used as a study tool. It can also be used to create difficult-to-discern deepfakes.
Everyone's like images going around, like you can get someone's like image like super like fast off the internet.
I actually just almost had a scam not too long ago, and it was someone trying to be a friend.
I just think that a lot of like the negative things aren't really being highlighted as much for sure.
Police say the technology can be used to benefit and to harm. According to Alert's Internet Child Exploitation Unit, AI is already being used to exploit young people, in most cases by their peers.
What we're finding is that AI is being used to create nude images of other children and used as kind of this new form of cyberbullying.
Constable Stephanie Bosch says it can happen on any app, and the embarrassment AI images can cause is significant. Shame prevents victims from coming forward.
Children will more often fear their social death than their actual physical death. Kids may not have taken a nude image of themselves, but what's happening is it's being created, right? And it's being used to bully or harass or extort.
Students say they're wary about what they post and try to limit who can see it.
Personally, me, I just make my account private. Don't post too much pictures publicly online.
Keeping the things you share online to a minimum amount of people.
Bosch says parents need to be open to having difficult conversations with their kids.
Kids are exploring their sexuality online. There's nothing inherently bad with that. It just comes with its own set of risks that we have to discuss.
While the majority of ICE's work happens behind the scenes, in this case, Bosch says the public can have a direct impact.
If we're discounting their lives online, we're creating those barriers, inadvertently even, and it makes it hard for them to talk about it.
Prevention through conversation. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
Advanced voting opened today for 3 Alberta by-elections, 2 of those here in Edmonton. Nearly a year ago, Naheed Nenshi was chosen to lead the NDP. He finally has a chance to become a sitting MLA in Edmonton Strathcona. The Edmonton Ellerslie riding is expected to be a tighter race. CTV's Nicole Weisberg has more.
Voters trickle into a polling station in southeast Edmonton. Staff here say about 10 people came through in the first couple hours of opening.
Why do you think it's important to come out to vote?
Time to get stuff done.
Because the next generation is coming, and they need our vote now so that we can go and make sure that they have a future.
In Edmonton Strathcona, NDP leader Naheed Nenshi is expected to cruise to victory. The riding has a long history of voting orange.
So I fully expect Naheed Nenshi to win in Edmonton Strathcona. What will be very interesting there, Nicole, is by how much he wins by. Because the Conservative candidate in Edmonton Strathcona is running a very strong, spirited campaign.
For political watcher John Brennan, Edmonton Ellerslie is much harder to call. Rod Loyola was an NDP MLA here for a decade. He stepped down to run federally and lost. Now a former progressive Conservative MLA is back running for the UCP, and a media personality in the South Asian community is running for the NDP.
The reason I think it's going to be a lot closer is we've had several polls out just in the last 3 or 4 weeks measuring public opinion in Alberta and in Edmonton. The UCP continues to poll well province-wide.
People are getting to be big fans of Danielle Smith.
Thanks in part to the Premier's popularity and his own public profile, Naresh Bhardwaj says he's confident in his campaign.
When you're at the doors, there's a mood for change.
Gurtej Brar also says he's confident, promising to bring back NDP policies to make life more affordable.
When it comes to utility bills, when it comes to insurance, we capped that. So people recognizing that thing, and we proved it, and we will do it again.
Advance polls run until Saturday. The by-election is Monday. Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
Current Edmonton City Councillor Karen Tang will be seeking re-election in October. Tang has been the councillor for Ward Garihio since 2021. Tang plans to officially launch her campaign this Sunday at 2 o'clock at the Leafield Community League. There has been a spike in multi-unit housing of all kinds since Edmonton's new zoning bylaw kicked in last year. Now, council is addressing the impact and debating what needs to change. As CTV's Jeremy Thompson reports, one proposal to reduce density comes from an unexpected councillor.
There are 8 homes in this new building in Park Allen, 4 up and 4 down. It's the type of infill allowed on almost any residential lot in Edmonton under the new zoning bylaw.
These large buildings mid-block are not compatible.
Jan Hardstaff is part of a working group advocating for less disruptive infill since 2019. She says large buildings like this one decimate the urban tree canopy and create privacy and parking concerns, among others.
There's just multiple negative impacts impacts. And suddenly people are seeing these, and they can't do anything about it.
City data shows a spike in approved row housing permits after the zoning bylaw changed. This map shows the vast majority are being built in central neighborhoods as council intended. But Councillor Michael Jans is proposing a change to reduce the units allowed by default from 8 to 6 for mid-block infill.
I think these are very sensible and modest adjustments.
Jans is a staunch advocate for building Edmonton up rather than out, but he says 8-unit buildings don't make sense everywhere.
We have infill goals, we have construction goals, we have many goals, but we also have some other community goals.
It is curious how an election period will change the perspectives of some.
Opponents argue developers will build the same size structure no matter how many units are inside.
I think that generally all this change will do is reduce the number of housing units available in sort of the downtown core.
I think we are moving at the right pace. There's just a perception sometimes in people's mind, and they look at it and say, oh my God, what is going on here? I think we just need to respond to those real and perceived concerns.
Council will debate the switch from 8 units to 6, along with many other proposed changes, at a public hearing on zoning June 30th. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Tailings ponds have been a byproduct of the oil sands since drilling began in our province. Now, the province wants the industry to find solutions by launching a challenge with $50 million in funding as the prize. At the same time, a new survey says most Canadians want to see renewable energy to expand. CTV's Stephanie Thomas has more.
It's called the Tailings Technology Challenge. $50 million from an industry-backed fund will go to the winning company that can create a solution for tailings ponds.
We need to shift this work into overdrive. We need more advanced technologies to help reduce, treat, and manage mine water.
Tailings ponds in the oil sands are a mix of chemicals, bitumen, water, and sand. They are environmentally hazardous, yet extremely challenging to clean up. Several companies have been charged for killing ducks and birds that found their way into the toxic wastewater. There are some 1.4 billion cubic meters of tailings ponds in the province. That's about 500,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
We're in that stage of accumulating a lot of tailings and fluids that will, in due course, be reclaimed, and some of the very original ponds have now been reclaimed.
However, one local environmental geology expert disputes that efforts to clean up tailings ponds have ever worked.
We haven't figured out how to get the water out of the fine sands yet so that they can be restored, and so basically, no tailings pond has been restored that I'm aware of in Alberta.
At the same time, new data suggests more Canadians would prefer to see more progress on renewable energy. 67% of Canadians say they favor renewable energy. 1/3 of respondents favored conventional. Alberta's breakdown is flipped, with just 46% preferring renewable energy and 54% preferring fossil fuels. Abacus Data conducted the survey for Clean Energy Canada.
What read between the lines there is just a real appetite to see real movement and real action.
Industry leaders agree that technologies like deep well injection are broadly used, but extremely slow.
Maybe there's technologies being applied in other industries elsewhere in the world that we're not even aware of, things that we can bring to bear here to speed up that process.
He adds the solution needs to be scaled up to match the size of the issue. Companies have until September 24th to enter the contest. Stephanie Thomas, CTV News, Calgary.
About 100 Alberta University students have been using their spare time on an impressive project. If all goes as planned, they say the student-built satellite will be launched into space this year. CTV's Alicia Fieldberg reports.
It's an extracurricular project that goes above and beyond. University of Calgary students are using their free time to create a satellite to launch into the upper atmosphere.
It's such a neat experience to get to work on a hands-on team like this that's actually creating something that gets to space.
The Calgary to Space team started in 2020 and is doing final testing before the satellite is scheduled to board a SpaceX rocket this year.
Preparing it to do vibration testing, where we want to see that it can withstand the conditions of being in a rocket as propulsing launches to space.
It's roughly the size of a loaf of bread and will orbit about 500 kilometers above Earth, taking images, collecting data, and testing an adjustable arm. It could provide insight about a phenomenon discovered by Alberta skywatchers. The strong thermal emission velocity enhancement, also known as STEVE, creates purple and green light in the night sky, similar to aurora borealis.
We have some instrumentation on FrontierSat to study the plasma in Earth's space environment to measure how it moves. So in a way, it's kind of like a high-tech windsock.
He's planning to study data from the student's satellite.
Very exciting to see our satellite be a part of like a research paper, and to see it's going to be actual published to the public and shared to the other researcher.
Building a device for space is only part of the challenge. The students also had to raise about $200,000 and navigate federal and international regulations.
Space is so expensive that generally a lot of people are cut out of it completely. But as more and more student teams kind of stand up and we commercialize space a little bit more, projects like CubeSats become a lot more feasible, which means that students like us get lucky opportunities to send something to space.
Some of the students are hoping to see their creation take off in person. Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Calgary.
Coming up next, how the Alberta government is promising to help former military members. Also just ahead, recapping the second day of the G7 Leaders Summit.
We are providing additional military assistance, drones, helicopters, broader munitions, over $2 billion worth of assistance.
Good evening, folks. Into the mid-20s again today. We get up to 24 degrees downtown Edmonton. Should see temperatures above 20 for one more day tomorrow, with the chance again for some scattered showers and thunderstorms, and then some steadier rain and a lot cooler Thursday. All those details still coming.
The G7 Leaders Summit continued in Kananaskis today without U.S. President Donald Trump. Today's talk focused on defense and security, especially in Ukraine. CTV's Michael Ekatur has the latest.
With a heavy heart, Ukraine's president came to Kananaskis hoping for more support from G7 leaders. But the latest attack cast a shadow over his visit.
Our families had a very difficult night. It's one of the biggest attacks from the very beginning of this war. 440 Shaheeds, Iranian drones, and 32 missiles.
Inviting Volodymyr Zelensky was part of a show of support from world leaders gathered here as the war with Russia rages on. And Canada has gone one step further, announcing today military aid and sanctions.
We are providing additional military assistance, drones, helicopters, broader munitions, over $2 billion worth of assistance directly to Ukraine.
And there's a $2.3 billion loan to help Ukraine rebuild its infrastructure. Canada is also slapping sanctions on 40 Russian entities, a number of individuals, and over 200 vessels in its shadow fleet. The United Kingdom also announced similar sanctions on 20 ships, including oil tankers. But the immediate need in Ukraine is that military might.
It's important for our soldiers to be strong at the battlefield, to stay strong until Russia will be ready for the peace negotiations.
The Prime Minister's office confirms the $2 billion in military aid is helping Canada to reach its NATO spending target. And that earned Carney praise from the head of the alliance.
The fact that you decided to bring Canada to the 2% spending when it comes to NATO this year is really fantastic.
More difficult conversations could come for Carney when he meets with his Indian counterpart later today. Canada is trying to rebuild that relationship, while an RCMP investigation has connected the Modi government to homicides and extortions in this country. It's a claim the Indian government has refuted. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Kananaskis, Alberta.
Leaders of the G7 have agreed to cooperate on their efforts to manage the impacts of devastating wildfires. The Kananaskis Wildfire Charter outlines steps that all G7 countries and 5 non-G7 members intend to take on wildfire prevention, research, collaboration, and community rebuilding efforts. During last year's summit, leaders agreed to prevent and manage the negative impacts of wildfires, but did not outline specific plans. The declaration comes as Canada battles yet another devastating wildfire season. Alberta Wildfire says there are 57 wildfires burning in Alberta. 22 are out of control. And world leaders in our province for the summit no doubt have a packed schedule. Still, some are taking some time to play tourist in Kananaskis. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer stopped to take a few photos of the Rockies on his phone. Like the thousands of other tourists, Starmer posted a photo on social media shortly after arriving on Sunday, saying, "Not a bad spot." The Alberta government is promising to help former military members and first responders find meaningful civilian careers. The province is spending $1.2 million on the Forces at Work program. The program specializes in helping people in public safety overcome physical, psychological, and emotional barriers to transition to a second career. Social Services Minister Jason Nixon says it has successfully helped 1,300 people find new careers since 2011. The money is expected to support another 1,000.
If we don't invest in that area, the reality is that we will continue to see income supports have to go up. Individuals then living on income supports that can't afford to be able to meet their day-to-day needs. Taxpayers having to continue to pay into that area to care for people.
Prospect Human Services runs the program. It says it has a 70% success rate of getting people into employment. Still ahead, the Oilers didn't get the results they wanted, but it wasn't from a lack of fan support. We'll show you some of those fans coming up.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Welcome back. 3 degrees above average today, 21 the average daytime high. We get to 24. We'll be a little closer to average tomorrow, and then in the mid-teens on Thursday with some rain, especially through the first half of the day. And some scattered showers and thunderstorms across northeastern Alberta through this afternoon. Those have all now fizzled out. Had some severe thunderstorms passing south of the Edmonton area through the late afternoon, early evening hours. And now through the overnight period, there is still a chance of a couple of these showers, maybe a few isolated thunderstorms kind of kicking around the area. Mostly cloudy to start the day tomorrow. You'll notice this is not a big system going through that's going to dump a lot of rain, but there is a chance underneath this cloud deck that you may see a few scattered showers early tomorrow morning. Then we'll get under a mix of sun and cloud, and again late in the afternoon through the foothills, and this time into northwestern Alberta as opposed to northeastern Alberta, some isolated showers and thunderstorms. And the possibility is there that some of these storms could turn severe with some sizable hail and some really strong wind gusts. The best chance for showers and thunderstorms in the Edmonton area comes around supper time and into the early evening hours. Here's Thursday morning. This is a new system starting to develop, which will hang over the Edmonton area through at least the first half of the day. I think most of the more organized rain kind of lifts off to the north through the afternoon hours, so we may get a bit of a break later in the day Thursday, but for much of the day, it does look like we're going to have rain, at least in the area, if not right over the entire city. 8 degrees in Fort McMurray tomorrow morning. Should be in the 5-degree range in Jasper, closer to 10 for Grand Prairie and Red Deer, about 12 or 13 degrees here in the city. Low 20s across the northeast. After a couple of stormy afternoons, you get a bit of a break tomorrow. Showers and thunderstorms mainly focused on northwestern Alberta, and then Red Deer, Lloydminster areas get a chance of some late day showers and thunderstorms. Daytime highs there should be right around 20, and we'll get into the low 20s here in the city. Again, a slight chance in the morning, but a mix of sun and cloud for most of the day, with the best chance coming as showers or thunderstorms potentially late in the day. Rain and 16 Thursday. We're back to 20 and a little drier for the start of summer on Friday. Through the weekend, daytime highs slightly cooler than average in the mid to upper teens, with temperatures returning to the 20s by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. That is your forecast.
We know Oilers fans come from all over, like from Helen E. Taylor School in Wembley, Alberta. These students learned La Bamba on instruments like xylophones and shakers. They were helped out by some of the teachers for this performance. The school has about 175 students from grades 4 through 9. While the season didn't end how they wanted, fans showed their pride. Inspired by Mama Stanley, seniors living at the St. Albert Retirement Residence decided they needed their own version.
First of all, I thought they were kidding me, and secondly, I thought I was nuts to do it, but it's fun.
It only took about 15 minutes for Ed Wilkins to transform with a sparkly silver top and skirt, cup hat, and face paint. He's now known around the seniors' residence as Papa Stanley. It's tough to see all the passionate fans so disappointed tonight, but here's hoping the Oilers will be back. And we'll be back tomorrow night. But for now, that's all the time we have. Have a good night.